Good afternoon, dear teachers.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all our educators who have joined us today. Let us start our session. Before I start the session, I would like to share a brief about Headword. Headword Publishing Company, an ELT specialist and leading curriculum publisher, is a part of ABP Education. It is the education wing of ABP Group. ABP Education is trusted by over 20,000 schools and reaches millions of students across India. At Headword, we deliver curriculum aligned textbooks, teacher resource books, and digital learning solutions that empower you all teachers and inspire learners. With research driven pedagogy, structured lesson plans, and professional development, Headword ensures that measurable improvements in learning outcomes is seen and visibly done. Its programs align very well with NEP 2020 and National Curriculum Framework for the foundational stage and NCF 2023, helping schools achieve national curricular goals with confidence. After sharing about Headword, I would like to share today's webinar rules with all of you. Everyone should be please on mute while the webinar is going on. We will have question answers at the end of the session. All your questions will be answered. You all will receive e-certificate after submission of feedback, and certificates will be provided to you within 10 working days after this webinar. Now, talking about today's topic, the session we are going to talk about, I read somewhere, and many of you must have heard as well, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So take care of yourself first. Having said that, today's session is beautifully captured in the quote. As educators, we devote so much of our energy to nurturing our students. We spend a lot of our time caring for our students' learning, emotions, and growth. But in the middle of lesson plans, assessments, and responsibilities, we often forget to care for the most important resource in the classroom, ourselves. Today's webinar, the Well-being Toolkit, Small Shifts, Big Impact, reminds us that well-being does not always require major changes. Sometimes, simple and intentional shifts in our daily habits, mindset, and routines can make a remarkable difference in how we teach and how we feel. This session is an opportunity to us to pause, reflect, and discover practical strategies to nurture balance, resilience, and joy in our professional lives. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Ms. Neha Gupta. Ms. Gupta is the publishing and product head at Headword Publishing Company and brings over 2 decades of rich experience in publishing, curriculum development, lesson planning, storytelling, and teacher training. She holds a master's degree in English literature and communication and is a lifelong learner with a strong passion for early childhood education. She is also an AI enthusiast and an advocate for inclusive learning, dedicated to creating educational experiences that support diverse learners. Beyond her professional accomplishments, Ms. Gupta is an engaging public speaker with a background in theater and storytelling. We are delighted to have her with us today to share her practical and meaningful strategies for enhancing teacher well-being. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Ms. Neha Gupta. Welcome, Neha. Over to you.
Thanks, Pooja, for your wonderful words. A very good afternoon to everyone. And
Good
before we
afternoon.
begin, good afternoon, everyone. And before we begin, I want to thank each one of you for taking this time out for yourself today. As educators, I feel we spend so much of our lives showing up for others, our students, our families, our parents, our colleagues, our deadlines, our classrooms, that somewhere along the way, we often stop checking in with ourselves. So today, I would say today, this webinar, it's not going to be a lecture or a motivational session or something. This is not going to be a training session. It's a pause, a reflection, and a kind of a reset. And through this session, we'll be exploring 5 small but very powerful shifts that can support our mental well-being in our day-to-day lives. So teachers, just stay with me through this webinar. And I'm sure by the end of this webinar, we'll be equipped to handle our mental health in a little better way. So with this thought, please allow me to share my screen. Let me just share my screen with you. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. So teachers, generally a webinar or any kind of a session, any workshop, it starts with a lot of energy, a lot of noise, I would say. We'll start this session with a little pause. Just pause for 5 seconds. If you can, just close your eyes for 5 seconds and count till 5. Let's just pause for a moment. Don't think about any work, any multitasking, any lesson plans, any rushing. Just pause for a moment. Great. Thank you so much, teachers. And in this session, we are going to understand how important pausing in life is. Sometimes, we are so, I would say we are so much into rushing things that we forget the importance of pause. In this session, we'll be exploring how pause and, mental reset can actually help us in our real lives. Okay. So teachers, who takes care of the mind behind the teacher? A very simple question. When we think of the schools, we always keep the students at the center of everything. We think about the students, about their learning. We think about their well-being, their grades, their growth, their emotional well-being. But today, I want us to think about something which is equally important. Who takes care of the mind behind the teacher? Behind educators are constantly, those individuals who are always carrying emotional responsibility. And they often do it silently. They don't share this with anyone. But, behind a very busy mind of a teacher is a little child, I would say, that is terribly exhausted, carrying so much of emotional responsibility, right? Okay, let's just look at the small video. I'm sure you'll be able to relate to this.
She had 30 students. 3 of them cried this week. 1 lost a parent, 1 was homeless, another just shut down. And she still had to smile, grade papers, and make a bulletin board. Not because she's weak, but because that's what we expect. So here's your quiz. What really causes burnout? A, too much paperwork, only B, lack of prep time. C, carrying the emotional weight alone. It's C, it's the invisible emotional load. If you're tired, it's not because you're soft, it's because you care more than most.
Great. So teachers, as we saw in that video, the teachers always carry this invisible backpack. What do they carry in this invisible backpack? There are deadlines, there is emotional labor, there are parent expectations, there is workload, sometimes self-doubt, and caregiving. And not all burdens are visible, right? Teachers, people just see a very nice, a very good-looking, smiling teacher, but they don't see what goes behind a teacher's mind. There are so many deadlines and so many other things to do apart from just teaching the children. There is emotional labor, then parents expect something else, workload is immense. So teachers always carry this invisible backpack. They carry more than what we actually see. So teachers, here I would like you to participate in this little quiz. This is coming on your screen. Okay, so teachers, you can scan this QR code to submit your responses, or you can just type in menti.com in your internet browser, and then it will ask you for a code. You can type in this code 612734448, and you have to answer this question. What drains the educators the most emotionally? I'll just go back. Teachers, I hope you're responding. Okay, I think looks like there is some technical glitch. I don't see the word cloud forming here. Teachers, you can also type in your responses in the chat window. What, according to you, drains the educators the most emotionally? Great. Now I can see the word cloud forming. So teachers, please submit your responses and we'll see a word cloud forming live here. Yes. So someone is saying pressure. Someone has said timeline. What else do you think drains the educators most? Expectations from others? Teachers, I request you to please participate and we'll see a beautiful word cloud forming here. Yes, expectations. What else? So teachers, as we notice, the responses are so similar, right? There is workload, there is timeline, there are expectations, there is emotional exhaustion, then there's a requirement to be always available. So these are the things that actually drain the educators the most. Behavioral challenges, yes, wonderful. What else? I think the most important thing that we realize in movement like this is that none of us are alone in this experience. We are all carrying the same weight. We all are bogged down, due to the same kind of pressure. We all are in the same boat.
Good
Is there any
afternoon, ma'am.
that you see in the chat window?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm Sudipti here from Kelly
Yes.
School.
Yes, ma'am.
So sometimes I feel there is no appreciation for what we do.
Yes, there is no
There has
appreciation.
to be appreciation as well.
Great. No support. Yes, I can see another response here. So teachers, as we can see, this word cloud is forming very beautifully. You are typing in your responses and your responses are coming in here. So that's really wonderful. Yes. Great. So teachers, as I said that, our responses are so similar. We all are dealing with the same situation and the same things are actually draining us the most emotionally. So, this is going to be the agenda of this session. So in the course of this session, we'll be covering these 5 things. We'll first know our mind. We'll understand how self-awareness, we can understand self-awareness, and we'll be also exploring our thoughts, our emotions, and our daily triggers. We'll also understand how we can nourish our mind, how we can build certain healthy habits, certain healthy routines, and how we can find balance in our energy. We'll also learn how to connect our mind, how to build better relationships, how to strengthen our existing relationships, and how to build an emotional support system around ourselves. Next, we'll also learn about moving our mind, where exactly our stress gets deposited in which part of the body. We'll be covering all of that, and how we can manage our stress through movement, rest, and mindful pauses. We'll be exploring that. And the last, we'll be also learning about writing our mind, how we can use reflections and journaling very effectively for better clarity and for better emotional well-being. So this is the agenda of the session. We'll be covering all these 5 points in the course of this presentation.
Just a minute,
Okay.
Neha. Jyotsna ma'am, can you please mute yourself? Thank you, ma'am. Please be muted.
Great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so our first section is know your mind, because awareness is the beginning of well-being. Most people, they do not burn out very suddenly. It's a very slow process. And when you leave your stress unattended, that over a period of mind actually becomes a burnout. Okay, so teachers, first a quick weather check for all of you. And this is not your regular weather check. This is a emotional weather check. Teachers, I request you to please put yourself on mute. Great. So teachers, first a quick weather check. You have to identify your emotional weather today. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling sunny? You're feeling good, positive, and energized? Or are you feeling mixed, a good and not so good emotions? Or are you feeling foggy, in a bit confused or disconnected mind? Or are you feeling heavy? You're feeling weighed down and emotionally very drained? Or are you feeling stormy, overwhelmed, stressed, or struggling with something? So teachers, just choose the word that best describes how you feel right now. You can type in your responses in the chat window. How is your emotional weather today? Generally, that's a very common conversation starter, right? So how's the weather? What do you think of the weather? The weather is not too good. It was so hot yesterday. Generally, weather is a very common conversation starter. But have we ever focused enough on our emotional weather? Have we asked anyone, how is your emotional weather today? How are you feeling today? What is your internal weather today? We rarely do that. Sometimes it's very important to ask this question. So teachers, I'm asking this question to you today. What is your internal weather today?
We are getting a lot of responses in chat. Very nice teachers. Keep participating. Lovely.
Okay. And what are most of the teachers saying? How are they feeling today?
Okay, most of them are mixed. Some are sunny,
Okay.
some are feeling stormy too.
Okay, great.
But most of them are mixed.
Most of them are mixed. Great. So teachers, it's very important that we understand how is our internal weather today. So, generally, depending on the weather, we decide on our clothing and, what kind of equipment we need. If it is raining, we make sure that we are wearing quick drying clothes, we are carrying an umbrella. So it's very important that we also identify how our internal weather is. Unless we identify our internal weather, how do we address it? If we are feeling, for example, heavy, how do we take care of how do we address this if we don't identify how we are feeling today, right? So teachers and educators' mind is rarely silent. What happens in an educator's mind? These things come in quick succession. An educator has to finish corrections. An educator is supposed to be available all the time. There are lesson plans, there are submissions, a parent's message comes in, there's a meeting at 3 p.m. An educator is always supposed to be smile and always supposed to stay calm. There's an upcoming inspection, and above all, there's a preparation for the cultural day, okay, for which we never get any extra time. We have to accommodate everything in our working hours, right? So there is this non-stop mental noise going in an educator's mind constantly, and that really is very exhausting. And this mental exhaustion is not always dramatic. It sometimes feels like we can never truly switch off since there is so much going at the same time, right? And this is something that people always mistake. They think if they are functional, they are fine. And this is the impression that the other people also get. That, okay, if a teacher, if an educator, or anyone else for that matter, if they are functional, that means they are fine. This is one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to the mental well-being. If you're functional, if you are good at your work, you are carrying on very confidently, very efficiently, that doesn't mean you are okay. There are many educators, in fact, most of the educators, they carry on, they keep teaching even when they are overwhelmed. They keep smiling even when they are exhausted, and they continue even when they are emotionally so drained. So functioning does not always mean flourishing. And I think many people have become experts in saying this. I'm fine. Whenever you ask anyone, how are you feeling? They'll always say, I'm fine. Nobody ever says, today I'm not feeling that great. This had happened with me. People have stopped saying this, that yes, today I don't feel good. Today I feel emotionally exhausted. I feel deeply tired. They always say fine. And this is where, this is the biggest misconception. People think they are really fine, even though they are just functioning, right? So teachers, first let's understand, what is the difference between stress and burnout. We think that both are the same things. There's a difference between the two. So stress is when you are overthinking. There's, for example, there's a lot of work. There are lesson plans to be done. For example, there's a cultural day coming up, and you are overthinking. If I don't do this, then this happens. If this doesn't happen, then that happens. So we are overthinking. Your mind is in a state of I would say a flux. It's constantly overthinking. So that is when, that is how you behave when you are stressed. You are overthinking. But when there's a burnout, there's a numbness. You stop thinking. You just lose your capability to think. So you notice the difference. When there is stress, then you are overthinking. In your mind itself, you are asking yourself questions, and then you are answering those questions yourself. So there's this constant Q&A session that is going in your mind. But when there's a burnout, there's a numbness. You go numb. When there is stress, you are anxious. There is anxiety. You are anxious about balancing various things together. But when there's a burnout, you are detached. You are not able to concentrate on anything. You start kind of dissociating yourself from the various things. When there is stress, you feel the pressure. But when there's a burnout, you feel the exhaustion. You lose your capability to function. When there is stress, you are emotionally overloaded. But when there's a burnout, there's a shutdown. Okay? So when you say too much, there's too much to handle, everything feels urgent, what do I prioritize? That is stress. But burnout is when you say that, no matter what I do, I'm not good enough and nothing feels meaningful. So that is when burnout comes in. So burnout is nothing but untreated stress over time. So it's very important that you start identifying these signs of stress very early, that if you're overthinking, you are anxious, you are worried about the pressure, you are emotionally overloaded. It's very important that you start identifying these signs of stress so that it doesn't lead to burnout. And how can we avoid burnout? Yes, first look at this slide. Sometimes exhaustion doesn't look exhausted. You may be stressed or you may be emotionally burnt out, but you're still smiling, you're still teaching, you're still supporting others, you're always available, you are getting things done. This is hidden burnout, but there's an invisible emotional labor. There's a lot of mental overload, there is emotional drain, there is self-doubt, guilt, and you feel you are never enough. So that is burnout. So to identify burnout, first, there's this trigger reflection. I would say just take a moment and just reflect on these questions. What repeatedly drains you? Is there any particular thing that repeatedly drains you? Just take a moment and try answering this question. What repeatedly drains you? Is it this constant pressure of showing up? Is it like these constant deadlines? What is it that always drains you? What instantly frustrates you? Any particular situation, any particular person? What is it that instantly frustrates you? And what emotionally exhausts you? Just take a moment and reflect on these three questions. Very often we realize that our reactions are not about one moment. They are about accumulated emotional load. And awareness matters because when we begin noticing our emotional patterns, we respond more consciously instead of reacting automatically, right? So there's a difference between reaction and response. When we are suddenly triggered, we react. But response is when we take time, we try to identify that trigger, and then we evaluate our reaction. So a reaction is nothing but an evaluated response is nothing but an evaluated reaction, right? So always try to understand your triggers. What is it that triggers you and how you can address that? Also, this halt rule. Whenever you feel very emotionally drained out, just pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I hungry? Have I eaten enough? Sometimes, when you skip your lunch, any meal, so your blood sugar goes down, and that actually impacts your mood and your decisions. So just pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I hungry? Have I eaten enough? Or are you angry? Are you feeling irritated or overwhelmed because of something? Emotions can cloud your perspective, right? So always ask yourself, am I hungry? Or am I angry? Or am I lonely? I want some kind of connection. I want some kind of support. I'm feeling lonely. Disconnection also makes everything feel heavier. Okay. So just pause for a moment and just see if your mental state falls into any of these four categories. Or am I feeling tired? Do I need a break? Do I need some rest? Is it just mental and physical fatigue? What is it? It's very important to be self-aware. So, and these questions, when you start asking yourself these questions, that actually helps you understand. Your mental state, that makes you more self-aware. So teachers always remember this, that awareness is not weakness, it's emotional intelligence, right? A lot of people think that if you are emotionally aware, you are weak. No, it's not weakness, it's actually strength. The more aware we are of our thoughts, our emotions, our triggers, our stress patterns, the better we are able to care for ourselves and also for others, right? So self-awareness is very important. Now comes the next step, nourish your mind. So mental well-being is not built only in difficult moments. It is also shaped by small everyday habits. Okay. So what fuels educators the most? So teachers, you may submit your responses in the chat window. Whenever you think, you are very stressed, what keeps you going? Is it coffee? Is it chai? Some snack? Or maybe a headache balm, jhandu balm or something? Your phone, your sticky notes. So whenever, you are mentally overstimulated, what is your go-to thing? You can start submitting your responses in the chat window. So many educators today, they are not just physically tired, they are mentally overstimulated, right? Pooja, are there any responses in the chat window? What keeps you going?
Yes.
So always keep that thing handy whenever, you need that fuel.
Teachers are saying coffee, food, good friend, music, tea, colleagues, friends,
Yes.
silent place. So
Always
let's
keep
answer.
these things, always keep these things, these persons, that support system handy. They will be like your go-to things whenever you need your fuel. Okay. And why are so many educators constantly exhausted? So as you can see in this picture, maybe in the morning you will be motivated, you'll be focused, you'll be ready to go. But by the time you reach the midday, there are deadlines, there are meetings, and slowly and gradually your energy starts draining. And by the evening, you're completely exhausted. So why are so many educators constantly exhausted? There is decision fatigue, there is emotional labor, there is overstimulation. They are expected to multitasking, though, it's not possible for anyone to multitask. We can only switch priorities. We always say that we can multitask, we can do multiple things at the same time, but the reality is that human beings are not equipped to multitask. They can do, one thing at a time. They can only do one thing at a time. They can do two things in quick succession, but at one given point of time, they will only be doing one thing. Multitasking, but yes, they are expected to multitask. There is constant switching, there's a lack of recovery. So this is something that leaves the educators completely drained, completely exhausted. And we think they are being lazy. We are not being lazy. We are not lazy. We are just simply overstimulated and under-rested. There's a difference between the two. Let's go further. Okay. And teachers, our brain is also affected by how we treat our body. So always fuel your mind and body. Your daily choices matter a lot. Keep yourself hydrated. Drink a lot of water, right? never skip water. Sometimes we forget to drink water, especially the educators, the teachers, since they have like back-to-back classes, they forget to have water. Keep yourself hydrated always, because water fuels your body. It also fuels your mind and energy. Never skip your meals and always stay hydrated. Always have balanced food. So your body should always be nourished. So always have balanced food and avoid caffeine overload. I know many teachers had written that, whenever they are mentally exhausted, coffee is what they look at to fuel themselves. But yes, a lot of, caffeine overload is also something that needs to be avoided. So always, try to keep your food balanced, avoid caffeine overload, sleep enough, have enough sleep. I think that can't be stressed enough. Rest is not a luxury. Never think that, you can only rest for 5 hours and then continue through the day. That will not happen. You will be exhausted. So take care of your sleep. Sleep for minimum 7 to 8 hours. Avoid doom scrolling. When you are lying in your bed in the night and you are just scrolling your phone, avoid doing that. It only feeds stress and it steals your mental peace. Movement. Always keep moving, because movement keeps your body and your mind refreshed. And avoid sleep deprivation, right? So never think of cutting short of your sleep. So because sleep actually affects your emotional regulation, so never try to cut short of your sleep. So basically keep these 3 things in mind: sleep well, eat well, and hydrate yourself well. I know you spend your entire day running on caffeine, stress, and survival mode, but take care of these 3 things, right? Let's go further. Okay, the always on syndrome. So this is one of the biggest challenges that we have today, that our mind is never at rest. So even after work, even after school, when we go back home, there are messages that continue, notifications continue, scrolling also continues, so stimulation also continues, and that leaves us mentally exhausted. We may be sometimes physically resting, but our mind is not at peace. Our mind is not resting. And sometimes, I understand, especially, I shouldn't be, stereotyping, but still, let's face it, women are the ones who are expected to give more. They are expected to take care of their families as well, apart from their jobs. So I'm sure after you leave school, you go back to your house, there's a family you need to look at, there are some food arrangements to be done, and there are a lot of other things that you need to do. So, when you lie in your bed at 9 p.m., never works, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whenever, 11 p.m., whenever possible for you. When you go to your bed, when you're lying in your bed, that is actually truly your me time. And then you start scrolling, because you think that is the only time that you can actually relax. And then you start, scrolling, you start looking at your mobile screen, and then you don't realize that, it goes up to 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatsoever. So, ever since these smartphones come, we have developed this always on syndrome. We should always avoid this, okay? And that's the constant pressure. The moment you receive a WhatsApp message, you have to reply. The moment you receive, a mail, you have to reply. It's okay. Protect your peace. Just keep your phone down. It's okay. The world won't fall apart if you don't reply to that one WhatsApp message. Nothing is going to happen if you don't reply to that new email that you received at 12 in the night, okay? It's okay to shut down, and nobody is going to judge you for that. So just avoid this always on syndrome. Tiny habits and big impact. Drink more water. There are certain small things that look very small, but these can actually go a long way in protecting your mental peace. Drink more water. Sleep slightly early. Even if you're able to sleep just 20 minutes early, you will wake up refreshed the next morning. Count till 5 before reacting. That's very, very important. Okay. If someone says anything wrong to you and you feel really angry, before you respond, just count till 5. Because that is when you are giving time to yourself to process whatever the other person has said. And, as I said, a timed reaction is a good response. So always count till 5 before reacting. And just see if you really need to react or respond. Can you just ignore what the other person is saying? They are not as important as you are, right? Nobody is as important as you are. So unless you protect yourself, your mental peace, you can't be available for others. So more than anyone else, I would say start prioritizing yourself. Step into sunlight. That's very important. Since when you step into sunlight, you get vitamin D, and you develop this happy hormone. So always step into sunlight whenever possible. Only for 5 minutes, 10 minutes these days. It's very hot, so whenever possible, only 5-10 minutes of sunlight is also enough. Eat lunch on time. Extremely important. Never skip your meals, and always have your lunch on time. Everything else can wait, but your lunch can't wait. Never skip your meals. Always have your lunch on time. Reduce doom scrolling and breathe between the tasks. So these habits, I would say, these look very tiny, but if you repeat these tiny habits daily, they will actually shape your emotional energy. Great. Next. Let's go next. Micro reset. Okay, teachers. Now, before we move to the next section, we'll do a micro reset. Okay, and I'll do this with you. So teachers, first of all, just drop your shoulders. Just keep your body light. Just drop your shoulders. If you want, you can also close your eyes. Just unclench your jaws. Just see if your jaws are clenched or unclenched. If they are clenched, just unclench your jaws. And just count till 5 mentally. That's a kind of a micro reset. And whenever you feel overwhelmed, you can do this. Just unclench your jaws, close your eyes, drop your shoulders, count till 5, and just take one small breath. And you'll be surprised to know how this little moment of pause can actually help you throughout the day. We sometimes forget the importance of pause in our life. Sometimes these kinds of small pauses are very important to keep ourselves going through the day. Okay, so whenever possible, just follow this micro reset technique. Okay, our next section is connect your mind. This is the third step. So human beings, we know they heal through connection, through emotional connection. And one of the greatest protectors of mental well-being is feeling emotionally safe with other people. If you don't feel emotionally safe, that impacts your overall well-being. So it's very important that we build those meaningful, those emotional connections with, at least some people who are close to us. So for example, a teacher comforting a child, that's such a beautiful example of human connection and how we human beings heal through connection. And teachers, they laugh, they share a moment of happiness in the staff room. That sometimes keeps them going. And a supportive moment, a thing as little as someone asking you, how are you feeling today? You don't look very well today. These small moments, they actually help in a lot of healing, right? These small moments sometimes have very big impact. Great. So always take time to connect with others. These actually go a long way. A teacher can stand in a crowded school and still feel completely alone. Okay, so a teacher is always surrounded by so many children. There are other colleagues, but still sometimes at the heart, the teacher feels so alone. So always try to build those meaningful connections, those emotional connections with whosoever you wish to. Okay, it could be a colleague, it could be just simply hugging a child, or maybe just talking to a parent, talking to anyone you like to talk to. So just try building very few, but those meaningful connections with others that really help in healing a lot. Okay. Sometimes people are carrying more than we realize. Okay. And small moments can create emotional safety. Teachers, actually, this reminds me of an incident. I was traveling to a school in UP for an offline workshop. And this place was about 5 hours away from my place, so I had got up early in the morning at around 4, and then 5:30 I had left my place. I reached this place at about 8:39, and then we started the workshop. So while I was conducting this workshop, there were two teachers who were talking at the back of the hall. And suddenly my sales colleague said, "Ki teachers, ma'am has traveled specially for you. She had got up at 4 in the morning because of you. You can't be disrespecting her by talking and not paying attention to her." So I just thought this was a small moment and we just forgot that moment. But when the workshop ended, a teacher actually came to me and she burst into tears. And I felt so bad. I thought maybe she didn't like how my colleague spoke to her, and she started saying, "Ma'am, we also get up at 4 in the morning, and you don't realize that we are so emotionally burdened." And that is when I actually realized that I was only looking at one tiny moment. I was not probably looking at the emotional weight that she was carrying. She was carrying more than what was visible on her face. Maybe it was something else, and that tiny remark from my colleague that just triggered her. And I'm not a very very physical person who tries to invade into the personal space of others, but I just went ahead and hugged that teacher. I think she needed it at that moment. So sometimes we don't realize how much emotional weight the other person is carrying. They are carrying more than what we can ever realize. And just showing up for these people, just a tiny moment where you make them feel emotionally safe, that can actually help in healing them. That's very important. You build your that's how you build a complete support system around yourself. You support others and then others support you. That's how you build a whole support ecosystem, right? Emotional support is actually built in these small moments. We connect when we listen without rushing to fix. So don't think when anyone is sharing anything with you, you have to fix it. You may not have the solution to that problem, but if you are just listening to whatever problem the person is sharing, only listening to them very patiently and just telling them that, yes, you can always come to me, and if you want to vent out, please feel free to come to me. If you're just giving that kind of an assurance to someone, that in itself is a huge emotional support. Don't try to fix anything. You won't be able to fix everything. Just try listening without judgment. Notice the behavioral changes. Is the person behaving differently over the last few days, over the last few weeks? What kind of behavioral changes are you noticing? And if you are noticing any kind of behavioral changes in anyone, please feel free to reach out to them and ask them what is going in their lives. It's okay. You're not invading their personal space. Just try to ask them what is if they are feeling okay, if there's anything that is bothering them. That is actually checking in genuinely, and do that genuinely. Ask what is bothering them and check in genuinely. Next is appreciate openly. We actually don't understand the importance of appreciation, but a little word of appreciation actually goes a long way. So appreciate openly, wholeheartedly. Whenever anyone does even a small thing for you, just appreciate openly. Create a judgment-free space. You don't know what the other person is going through, so who are we to judge them? If we are not in their shoes, how can we ever understand what kind of emotional turmoil they are in? So how can we even judge them when we don't know what kind of situation they are in? So always create a judgment-free space. That's very important. Don't judge them. Let them be approachable, and just ask them to come to you without any judgment, without any kind of inhibitions. Just let them come to you and discuss their problems with you. Just make that safety net around yourself. Ask, are you okay? And mean it. It's such a tiny question. Are you okay? If someone is not up to the mark, just ask, are you okay? And mean it. I remember once I was going through some kind of a personal problem, and because of that, I wanted to go home early. And I just shared that problem with my manager, and she didn't try to fix it. She didn't offer me any situation. She just asked me one tiny question. She asked, do you need a hug? And I don't know. I mean, that moment was so special for me. Really, I started crying. That is something that I needed at that time. So be that kind of support for others. Pause before reacting. I think we can't stress this enough. Pause before reacting. Always time your reactions, because a timed reaction is actually a response. Make people feel emotionally safe. So if you do all these things, you build the safety net around yourself, okay? And you start making people feel emotionally safe. Great. Sometimes the most healing sentence is, what is the sentence? I noticed you haven't been yourself lately. We don't ask this, we don't tell this to anyone very often, but if you feel someone is not, their regular self, if you're noticing any kind of changes in anyone, just tell them, ask them, I noticed that you haven't been yourself lately. Is there a problem? Would you like to share anything? Maybe I won't be able to help you, but I'm there to listen. Okay, so just start asking people and start checking in, and do that genuinely. Okay, now we move to our next section, which is move your mind. This is our fourth step. Generally, we think that stress is something that lives in our mind, but you'll be surprised to know that it can actually live in various parts of our body. So as you can see in your diagram, your body actually remembers stress, and these are the various stress zones in our body. So when you are overthinking, there's a mental overload, then you actually experience the stress here in the back of your head, on your scalp. Okay, that is where you get your headaches. Sometimes you start feeling a pressure, there is brain fog. Okay, so whenever you're overthinking, you feel the pressure, you feel the stress at the back of your head. When you are carrying too much tension, a lot of responsibility, you always say that I'm carrying so much on my shoulders. That is when you start experiencing the stress in your neck and in your shoulders. When you are emotionally drained and when there's a lot of pressure, you are emotionally overwhelmed, you start, experiencing this tightness in your chest. Sometimes your breathing also becomes paced. Sometimes your heart starts racing. Okay, so whenever that happens, always slow down and start practicing deep breathing. Okay, and whenever you are holding so much together, you are holding the entire support system together, that is when you start experiencing stress in your upper and mid back. So as you can see, I think I don't need to read from the slide. You can actually look at this diagram, and this will actually help you understand that where you feel the stress in what kind of situations, and whenever you are facing this kind of stress, what are the tips you can follow. So your body actually communicates with you whenever it is stressed. Make sure you listen to your body, and you listen to your body with kindness. Don't be harsh on yourself. Okay, first you need to be kind to yourself, only then you can be kind to others. Great. Move. So teachers, now just pause for a moment. Okay, and just try to experience, where are you holding the tension. Just close your eyes for 5 seconds and try to assess where you are holding your tension. You can type in your responses in the chat window. I think as of now, if I talk about myself, I feel a little tension at the back of my head. Okay, so after this webinar, maybe I'll practice my deep breathing technique. So that probably I'll do after this. So just take a moment and you can share with us where you are holding the tension. Sorry? Is it your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your forehead? Sometimes we are carrying the tension for so long that we don't even realize it that we are carrying it. It becomes a normal for us, right? And our body constantly carries this emotional stress very silently. So whenever that happens, you can do small movements. It can be like a little stretching, it can be walking, it can be breathing. I think we can do a small reset together. So let's start rolling our shoulders. Teachers, can we start rolling our shoulders? I think we can do a little movement, and that will actually help in relieving our stress. Just start rolling your shoulders. Next, what you can do, you can just press the back of your head a little. And then you can just Put a little more pressure at the back of your head like this, and you tilt it a little forward. You can stretch your neck gently like this. Okay. Stretch your neck. Take one deep breath in and exhale. Okay. Great. So in most of the webinars, generally, the trainers don't allow even this much of movement. So this webinar, there will be a lot of movement. So, this is a very little movement, but this will actually allow you to reset yourself. Great. So now we have moved. Now let's rest. We don't understand the importance of rest. We think rest is something that actually makes us feel guilty. We are sometimes feel guilty for resting, and we think rest is unproductive. No, actually rest is something that boosts your productivity. Recovery, I would say, is never laziness. Recovery is necessary for your body, for your mind, for your soul, for your heart. Okay. So sleeping, having some quiet time, having some me time, all of that is very important for your mental recovery. Okay. So rest. Next, pause. So teachers, let's just pause for 10 seconds. Just close your eyes. Stop thinking about anything else, your lesson plans, your students, okay? Your seniors, your family. Just listen to the noise around yourselves. We don't experience these moments. There is so much going on in our mind all the time that our mind keeps functioning in survival mode. But when your mind is in survival mode, it cannot heal properly. Sometimes we intentionally need to pause. So for a few seconds, just notice your breathing. Just notice how you are breathing. You're inhaling, you're exhaling. Notice your breathing pattern. Notice the chair supporting you. Sometimes these things become so regular that we don't even pay attention. Every day, we are coming to the same building, to the same classroom, and we don't realize what color are the benches, right? Notice the chair that is supporting you. Is it supporting you right? Is your back straight? Is the chair supporting you, your arms? How is it supporting you? Notice the sounds around you. I can actually listen to the sound of the AC, which we don't listen to very often. We don't get to listen to very often. Notice the sounds around you. Great. So teachers, just try to understand that there will be times when your mind will need some movement. Sometimes it will need rest. And sometimes it will just need a little moment of pause. Just listen to your mind. Just listen to your body. What does it need? If you are feeling mentally exhausted, if you're feeling very stressed, what is it that is going to help you? Do you need a little movement? Do you need some rest? Or just pausing for a bit? Okay, so this is how you move your mind. With this, we move to the next section, which is write your mind. That is very important. So reflecting on the situations is very important, since reflection actually creates clarity. And sometimes, we are carrying such heavy thoughts in our mind, but when we actually start writing it out on a paper, they become lighter. Okay, so no matter how difficult the situation is, if you think it's very difficult, just try to write it down on a paper. If you think the situation is extremely stressful, someone has, really done anything wrong with you, or you think the situation is out of your control, just write it down on a piece of paper and burn that paper. And keep holding that burning paper until you feel a little warmth in your finger. that really helps you. Trust me, I've tried that, and that really helps. Writing really helps. So why writing helps? Okay, let's go back. Okay, so why writing helps? So reflection actually helps us in processing our emotions. We are sometimes we are sometimes feeling a mix of emotions, but when we start writing it, we are able to analyze our emotions better. We are able to notice the patterns. Okay, so what is it that constantly makes us troubled? Okay, we start noticing those patterns. It also helps in releasing the mental clutter. Writing also helps in gaining clarity. It also helps us reconnect with ourselves. So, in this world where we are, constantly consuming information, we sometimes don't pause long enough to reflect in words. So that is very important. Okay. And when you start writing, that reflection becomes even stronger. So teachers, let's start writing today. I think you can actually start writing. If you have a pen and paper with you, you can actually start writing. Just try writing down all these things. Today I realized. What did you realize today? Today I realized the importance of pause. Just try to complete these sentences. I need to let go of the constant pressure to be available all the time. I need more of time for myself. I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be happy. One thing I want to change after today is I would never undermine myself. I would always shamelessly, unabashedly put myself first above everyone else. Right? Start writing all these things. That really helps. Small shifts create big impact. Write one promise to yourself. So teachers, you may take 10 seconds here and just write one promise to yourself. You can type in your responses in the chat window. Write one promise to yourself. I promise myself that I will never give myself secondary treatment. If I start giving myself a secondary treatment, how can I expect others to not give me secondary treatment if I myself am treating myself as something, someone who's not that important? Make that one promise to yourself and write it down in the chat window. Pooja, any responses in the chat window?
No, not for this.
Okay. So teachers, one promise, if you don't feel comfortable sharing it with us, you may also, just put it down on a paper.
Now we are getting it. Yeah.
Now we're
I
getting
promise myself that I'll take care of my mind and body.
Yeah.
Very
I will rest without guilt.
To
I
take
will
care of
pause
my
more
happiness.
often.
Never
Yeah.
give up. Very nice, teachers.
I will
Very-
stop glorifying exhaustion. That's very important. People wear it
I
as a
think
badge
all of
of
these are
honor.
important.
Timely. Very
Yeah.
nice.
People start wearing this as a badge of honor that, I have so much of work. I don't get time to sleep. I don't get time to rest. That is nothing to be proud of. Okay? Stop glorifying exhaustion. Stop glorifying mental overload. And teachers, whatever you are writing, whatever you are promising to yourself today, make sure that you keep that promise. That's very important. So teachers, with this, we have come to the end of the session. And I really would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for not just attending this webinar, but for showing up for yourself today. We spend so much, we spend a large chunk of our lives pouring into others. But even the strongest minds need care, support, rest, and kindness. And perhaps that's the most important thing that we learned in this webinar today, that we matter too. I matter too. More than anyone else in this world, I mean, more than anyone else in the world, I am the one that matters the most. For our families, for our students, for our parents, but more than anyone else, for ourselves. We matter the most for ourselves. Thank you so much, teachers. You have been great audience. And I now hand over the baton to Pooja, who will explain you the process for submitting the feedback. Thank you so much, teachers. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I
Yes.
hand it over
So
to
it is
Neha.
time for the questions. Teachers, if you have any question, the stage is open for question answers. You can have your question. You can unmute yourself and ask anything, any question you have to Neha ma'am.
Pooja, is there a link for submitting the feedback?
Yes. Yes. So if there are no questions, I am sharing the feedback link with you all. Yes. So dear teachers, the link has been shared with you in the chat box. Please open the link, click on the link, save it with you, and share your valuable feedback for the session today.
Teachers, please fill the feedback form. The filling of feedback form is critical for us. And only the teachers who submit the feedback form will get the e-certificates. Kindly fill in the feedback form.
Yes. Yes, so we are getting a lot of feedback already in the chat box though. But yes, the form is very important. The teachers, you all need to fill that form, that link I've already shared with you, sharing again. We are receiving a lot of compliments, appreciation for the session. Thank you, Neha. It was a wonderful session. I just wanted to say, wow. I personally loved it too. I was there for every second and could understand and connect. And I really feel that yes, it was very much needed. And during this mental health week, nothing could be more appropriate than this for all of our teachers and for us. So, today's webinar, teachers, it reminded us that well-being is not about making those big drastic changes, as Neha rightly said and, explained. It is about taking those small, consistent steps that can help us stay balanced and energized. Yes, and as all teachers, you all care for yourselves. You should be better equipped to inspire, support, and nurture your students by taking care of yourself better. Right. So thank you all participants for your enthusiastic presence and engagement. We all could see your participation through the chat box and the activities Neha has conducted. Thank you so much for all of that. We look forward to welcoming you to many more such insightful webinars from Headword Publishing Company. Have a wonderful evening and continue making a meaningful difference in the lives of your students. But remember, you are the most important amongst all.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So on that note, thank you everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you, Neha.
Pooja.